So the weather is cold, wet and miserable, and you just can't bring yourself to ride outside. What do you do instead? Well, the classic alternative is riding indoors. Yep, mind-blowing. Now I know for some, suggesting that they ride indoors is only one step up from suggesting that they binge watch Love Island. But believe me, it's not. Nothing could be that bad. Even hardcore cyclists will get caught out by the weather at some point, and then what'll they do? Indoor cycling comes in many forms, but the most common is to use some kind of turbo trainer. And indeed, this has been the way that old school cyclists have managed to get some seat time when the weather's been bad for decades. Back in the day, it was just a question of sitting and pedalling at a constant intensity for between 45 minutes to an hour, with only the eye of the tiger on repeat to break the monotony. These days though, it's nowhere near as dull and boring. You have apps like Zwift and Ruvi that can transport you to a virtual world where you're cycling against real people in real time. And if you have a smart trainer, it can even vary the resistance, so it feels like you're climbing and descending. Most cycling computers these days will allow you to create custom workouts that will either control your smart trainer directly, or at the very least just let you know when to change resistance or increase intensity. If you don't want to go that technical, you can look up some workouts on YouTube. And if you want to go real old-fashioned tech, remember writing. You can use a pencil and a paper to write down your workout. Surprisingly, doing a workout on a turbo trainer also has advantages all of its own that you can't easily get on a road ride. So for example, it allows you to precisely control the intensity of your workout, which is especially useful if you want to ride in, say, zone 2, or work on something specific like your pedaling technique or your position on the bike. While apps like Zwift has certainly made indoor cycling popular for itself, for me it works best when it's a supplement to my normal riding, meaning that I'll try and ride outdoors as often as I possibly can, and then reserve indoor cycling for the times when the weather and the cycling conditions are too severe. But if sweating all over your kitchen floor doesn't quite pump your bump, then why not go and sweat all over somebody else's floor by doing a spinning class at your local gym? Now, to get controversial for a second, I know that spinning classes have had a reputation for attracting, well, let's just say a certain demographic, basically bored middle-aged women. And while some classes may conform to that stereotype, believe me, that's not the case now. Many spinning classes are totally focused on fitness, and some of them are even aimed specifically at cyclists looking to get some good quality training. Over the last few years, I've noticed a lot more ridicule towards indoor cycling. Words like hamster wheel, soulless, artificial, I'm sure you get the idea. I feel like I want to say that that's just elitist nonsense, but that just sounds mean. While cycling indoors may not be as effective or as much fun as riding actually out on the road, it is about as close as it's possible to get. Plus, it also has the added advantage of removing any risk of slipping in icy conditions and injuring yourself. Recently though, there's been a lot of talk about something called HIIT, which stands for High Intensity Interval Training, which does exactly what it says on the tin, very short, very intense workouts. This has the advantage of saving you time. A normal bike ride might take you a couple of hours, but a HIIT workout can be done in a matter of minutes. And some studies even suggest that the fitness benefits are very similar. So for example, a typical HIIT workout might be trying to ride 20 kilometers as fast as possible, rather than riding in zone 2 for an hour. In many ways, it makes sense to focus on these short, intense workouts to improve your power and high-end capacity when the weather's bad, and then work on your endurance by doing longer rides when the weather improves in the spring and you can start cycling outdoors again. Again, these HIIT workouts can all be done on a turbo trainer, and there are plenty of resources to help you online. In practice though, you shouldn't just rely on one type of indoor workout. A good balanced training schedule will come from a mixture of the two. But if indoor training really isn't for you, there are alternatives. Walking is actually fantastic exercise, and depending on speed and terrain, it can really help you maintain your aerobic fitness over the winter off-season. Plus, it's really quick and easy to do. You don't need any specialist equipment, you just go out and do your walk. Although I suppose the disadvantage is that you're potentially exposing yourself to the exact same weather that you're trying to avoid on the bike. But at least when you get back, you don't have to spend hours cleaning your bike. The coin is still in the air if walking can actually give you similar fitness benefits to cycling for the same amount of time. But if you wanted to up it a couple of notches, you could always try running, swimming or rowing. This has the advantage of making your training a little bit more interesting and allowing you to work on different muscle groups. But a thing to be mindful here though is that your new activity may subtly change your fitness, so it might make getting back on the bike a little bit more difficult. If you wanted to give yourself a good all-round workout, you should probably also introduce an element of strength training. Typically, this is done by resistance training, or basically lifting weights to target muscle groups like legs, core and lower back. While these can be performed at home, you're much better off going to a gym where you'll have access to a wide range of equipment and maybe even someone who can advise you on how to use them effectively. The disadvantage here though is that strength training by itself will not keep you cycling fit. In fact, when you get back on the bike, it might even make you slower, and that's because it's designed to build muscle, and that will make you slightly heavier. Hopefully, where you are, the weather isn't going to be so bad that you're unable to do any outdoor cycling at all. But when it is, obviously, any exercise is going to be better than doing none at all. So don't be afraid to mix it up. And remember, the key to that exercise is doing it regularly and consistently. Knowing exactly which turbo trainer is going to be best for you can be a bit of a minefield. Smart or dumb, tyre on or direct drive. Getting it wrong can get very expensive, but I explain it all in a video just here.